I warned you. They're going to take our guns away before World War III starts, and they're going to put them in the hands of the poor schmucks that are being hauled off the streets against their will to go and fight and die for some bullshit. Even the Ukrainian politicians are fleeing the sinking ship. They're leaving, going to the UK, to the United States. These people who have committed hundreds of thousands of men to die or be casualties of war are now fleeing. And now the Canadian government has the gall, has the audacity to infringe upon the individual rights and freedom. Oh yeah, we don't have rights. We have privileges here in the Crown. Privileges of the Crown by royal decree of Sir Fuckface Justin Trudeau. They want to take away our guns. Get this. Get a load of this. They just banned damn near all semi-automatic rifles, and they're going to send them to Ukraine. If those guns, few of them, of course, because they don't even use the same calibers, they're likely not even going to find any use for these restricted in some cases, firearms that are semi-auto. They're not full auto. Some of them can be converted, but, they're not even going to use them anyways, are likely going to fall into the hands of the constituents of a failed democracy, one that's under martial law, one in which the election has been suspended. You have absolutely no rights whatsoever. At the stroke of a pen, they can effectively haul your ass off the street and send you into the meat grinder. That is what we are having our rights eroded in support of. And the spearhead, the ideological, radicalized Azov, Banderite, Nazi fucks who are over there, who we are not allowed to criticize for some reason, but we give them standing ovations. Mr. Blackface loves giving standing ovations to Nazis in the parliament. Isn't that something? Now they're going to send our firearms over there. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I am absolutely livid, as you can see. And this is the problem with most Canadians. And this is why they're going to take it all away. Because there's no red blood pumping in the bodies of Canadian citizens. Unfortunately, we are obedient, we are compliant, and even the guys who are in the know, even the people who advocate for more firearms rights, lots of them are just pushovers. They're far too stoic. You have to get a little upset. Now, I want to say, I will defer to the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights for any guidance on how we can mitigate this issue through the appropriate political and legal channels. I am certainly, as you can see, not the guy to talk to about that. I'm here to vent. I'm here to say what we're all thinking right now. This is fucking bullshit. It's bullshit because we are supposed to be a democracy. And we are supposed to be supporting what is being painted as a bastion, a bulwark for democracy in Eastern Europe. Even though it's everything but that. It is a government that by some accounts is illegitimate. I mean, not only have they postponed elections, but they've been under martial law for 3 years. You effectively have no rights. And this democracy that we are a part of, where we forfeit our rights and freedoms, law-abiding people who get 24/7 background checks, people who are typically, I would surmise, are in the higher income tax brackets, who pay these bureaucratic, useless fucks wages. Okay? It is us who they single out. Why? Well, if we're heading into a world war, so these guys can go and start nuclear war with Russia? If we were heading into a world war, why would you disarm your population when you have no military? It's completely eviscerated, and now you just have a population of compliant dummies who are completely helpless to an invading force. This is stupid. I have to say that I do not, absolutely not speak on behalf of the CCFR. I want to make that abundantly clear. While we've done collaborations in the past and while I'm friends with some of the members, I absolutely do not. I speak for myself and myself only. Let YouTube deal with me. Bill C-18. YouTube and all the big social media agencies were against it, okay? To YouTube's credit, they were all against it. What it means is that the Canadian government dictates what shows up in the search results here on YouTube. So that means if you go and search Canadian gun ban, guess what you see first? A bunch of corporate, conglomerate, news agency, narrative, pro-Ukraine, anti-gun bullshit. That's what you see for the first 5 or 6 pages. To get an independent rant like this, you gotta search for it, baby. Or you gotta be subscribed. That's what they want. So they passed Bill C-18 last year, which effectively allows them to do this. And then this year, they come along with this bullshit. And at the stroke of the pen, they are able to, by decree, just outlaw all of the firearms that are unfit for the common folk. And here we are. We just accept it. You know, and quite frankly, I think we as Canadians deserve what we get. Because the hunters are going to say, oh, well, you know, it doesn't affect my 308, my bolt action and this and that. Look, man, who in their right fucking mind, would want less rights? Who? Now, I get it. Maybe we shouldn't have grenade launchers and tanks and stingers and javelins and those types of things. I get that there's a limit, okay, to what should be allowed. I get that. But who in their right mind, when they understand all the details, and perhaps that's all this is lack of public awareness, would ever want to deprive themselves of the ability to have at their disposal a means of acquiring food, a means of recreation, and yes, a means of self-defense. Now, I would hope in a million years I never have to use a gun against somebody. That is something I never want to do. But I cannot understand for the life of me, I cannot understand why a person would want to deprive themselves of that right. I mean, for you liberals out there, and it feels weird for me to say that because I'm always a devil's advocate. You guys know that. For the longest time, I take as much flack from the right as I do the left because I'm always trying to look for the moderate point of view. But on this, I'm definitely a single party voter. Many liberals have come around, but for you liberals, if you're worried about the way things are going, and really all this is liberal government and its death throes, everybody knows that. This will likely be repealed by the Conservatives, so there is a silver lining here. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's say you're one of these people who fear Trump. You fear the totalitarian, right-wing, neo-fascist emergence of populism and blah, blah, blah. Let's say you fear all that. Would you want less rights or more in that situation? You see, the problem with when they take away rights, the next government, when they get in, they leverage that to their interests. So every time you advocate for the other side to lose their rights, you're also advocating for yourself to lose rights, and that can be turned against you in the future. For all you police who are going to enforce these laws, which you will, because people are obedient. They always have been, always will. Since, you know, the beginning of human history to World War II and the concentration camps, to this day, nothing has fundamentally changed from a social psychological standpoint. We will comply and we will do all manner of atrocity. We're already doing it. Just wait until the shit hits the fan and the lights go out. But I say to you, because I know a lot of you watch the channel and I respect a lot of you who understand what's going on. And I understand you're in a predicament because you can only do and say so much, right? Understand that when you retire, guess what? You're one of us. That's right. They're going to take it away from you too. They're going to use you just long enough to go and do their bidding. And then after the dust settles and you've done your time, they're going to take all your rights away too. And then you're going to realize what you've done. Okay? So I know I sound crazy. I sound maniacal. I sound like but this is what we need. We need more of this, but we need it in a controlled, chaotic fashion. I'm not saying go out and do stupid shit like that. I'm just saying let's vent a little bit. Let's get a little bit upset about this. I'm not saying, and I don't even know if this necessarily helps the cause at all, but what we've been doing doesn't really help it either. You know, this adjudicating, congenial, very overly diplomatic acquiescing to all the every little subtle movement of the goalpost, that doesn't work. Okay? Now, again, though, I must say that there are legal channels that we can go through. There are political channels, hopefully, that are going to allow this to be repealed, put forth new bills, put forth a new common sense classification system as the Conservatives are proposing. Let's hope that that is going to be the case. I'm not holding my breath out for that, okay? Because both sides have been shown to work together on certain issues, and I think this is one of them. Now, that said, the practical enforcement of this is going to be very difficult, especially in the provinces that I live in, Saskatchewan in particular, and Alberta, have brought in legislation that essentially says that if you want to confiscate the firearm of a Saskatchewan or Alberta resident, you need a special license from the government. And to the best of my knowledge, none of these licenses have been administered just yet. So the provincial government, some of them are fighting back in their own clever way. Now, for the Canadian government to have the resources, the human resource to go and enforce all this is absolutely absurd at a time when crime is higher than ever, when gun crime is higher than ever, despite all of the restrictions placed on firearms, law-abiding fire owners. What a surprise that that didn't work. What a surprise that, you know, enforcing laws did not discourage criminals. What a surprise. Or making new laws did not discourage criminals. What a surprise. Okay? So chances are this is impractical. Hopefully by the next election, when the deadline is for this confiscation, that this bill will be shot down. Unfortunately, it's now law. It is law. And Dominic LeBlanc, this smug, contemptuous bureaucrat who just scornfully looks down on the plebes. You can just tell him and Bill Blair and all these guys, you can just see the disdain they have for the average person. They loathe any decentralized, anybody with a little bit of red blood in their system. They hate us, man, because they can't control it. And they only know one thing, and that's egregious government overreach, and it always fucking backfires. So I say go all the way. Go all the way and, you know, and just watch it. Watch that snapback. Watch that blowback. Watch the pendulum swing in the other direction. It always happens. Like right now in Syria, where you have these radicalized sectarian nut jobs running through the countryside, beheading people, thinking that it's great because they're going to bring down the Assad regime. Watch what happens. Those people who are cheering that on right now, they're eventually going to realize, holy shit, maybe that Gaddafi dictator, supposed despot, maybe that Saddam guy, maybe that Bashar Assad, maybe these guys, as bad as they were the lesser of evils because they at least kept these head-chopping maniacs at bay. Maybe. So open the floodgates. Let the government be as stupid as it possibly can so people can see how stupid they are. Just like the pandemic shit. Okay? That's what happened. Everybody's seeing, like, this is fucking stupid, right? I was an advocate at the beginning. I was the one, you guys remember, saying, masks do work. Why are you saying they don't work? There's a reason why they make N95 and N99 masks. They filter out particulate matter. Of course they fucking work. But the question then became, is what is excessive? When do they work? When your car, when you're in a... I seen a guy in a Bobcat the other day with a mask by himself. I mean, come on. So, you know, let stupid just have its way so that people can see how absurd it is. Just like the whole woke thing right now. People are starting to see how ridiculous it all is. And you almost have to let it to go to its most ridiculous extent possible for people to realize that. This guy, Dominic LeBlanc, is going to use an arbitrary decree called the Order in Council. They already have to ban a bunch of guns, divorce, everything. All semi-autos going to get banned. They're all going to get banned. That's what they're going to do. They're going to take them all away. But, like I said, it's going to be very hard to do so. If you want to see the complete list, go on the website. Just type in Canadian gun ban list. And the first website that comes up will be a Canadian Government of Canada website that lists all of the firearms that are to be banned. Chances are, if you have a semi-automatic firearm that is not a .22, it's going to be banned. Now, there is still a few, and there's always workarounds. They're trying to find ways so that they can make these classifications as broad and general as possible so that they can just, they're always catching up. So a company will, of course, all the guns that are now banned, they're banned so they can make slight modifications and they can bring new things to market. And that's how they kind of circumvent these bullshit laws, which make no sense whatsoever. But this really is the pinnacle of oppressive policy when you have a situation where you're taking firearms, a means of acquiring food, a means of recreation, a means of self-defense away from law-abiding, independent individuals who have privileges and freedoms in a democracy and handing them over to what I view as a military dictatorship at this point, the Zelensky regime, even though most of those guns ain't going to end up there because, again, the Ukrainians don't want them. Now, I'm sure they'll take anything. They'll give some schmuck a gun that probably is just semi-auto. It's not even meant for a battlefield, and they'll make him feel confident enough just to go to die in a trench to get hit by a drone. But it's not actually going to do much because these aren't battlefield guns. That whole thing is just an affront to our democratic rights. We don't have any rights. I quit saying rights. I got to move to the States. I think it's time to apply for citizenship, man, because this is just getting ridiculous. But if I leave, then who's going to fight this? This is just meant to outrage and humiliate people like me, I think, hoping that we do something to shoot ourselves in the foot. And I want to make it abundantly clear that I do not advocate for people doing anything stupid. This is the extent of the stupid. Okay? This is the extent of it. Vent, but leave it to the people who know what they're doing, like the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. If you don't have a CCFR membership, you don't give a shit about Canadian firearms rights, because that is the only group that is advocating on our behalf, that actually knows what they're doing, that I would say is representing us in a way where we can actually affect some changes. Because a guy like me, forget it. No, I would be hauled out by security or something if I tried to. I'm just not built like that. Okay, I don't have that sort of decorum to be able to engage with these fake ass politicians. I'm not built like that, but these guys are. Okay, they know it, but they're real people at the end of the day. They speak like politicians, but they're real people. They just know how to talk the talk. Go and support the CCFR, all right? Like I said, Saskatchewan and Alberta have yet to administer any licenses, as far as I know, to these gun confiscators, but, anything is possible with the government. Anything is possible, man. I mean, we could see between now and October next year, I don't know. We could see a war. We could see another pandemic. There's shit popping up in the Congo, shit popping up, bird flu all over the place. Like, they could do something to postpone or ensure that they see this through. So I would not get overly complacent just yet, even though there's some good news. And it's that this is very impractical, and it's going to be very hard for them to do this before their deadline that they've imposed. And it's very likely that this is just a wedge issue. in order to try to appeal to their liberal loyalist base, knowing full well that it's not going to do much to change any fence-sitting voters' minds at the end of the day. This is not, like bringing up the Polytechnic massacre for the, 30th year in a row. As horrific of an event as that is, I mean, let's get real. I mean, that was a long time ago that happened. And regardless, there's plenty of philosophical reasons why just because that happened doesn't mean that gun confiscation is the answer, that I'm not going to get into. So, yeah. I mean, there's some positives here, okay? Before I talk about why this will possibly fail, the people who are going to be hurt by this are likely small businesses. And this is the other diabolical thing here. Remember when I said the goal is centralization? They don't care if Cabela's or Canadian Tire or Bass Pro Shops or these bigger corporate chains who sell firearms. These guys, guns are a very small proportion of their sales, but they're going to be the only ones left selling guns because these smaller shops are the ones who sell a lot of the specialty semi-auto guns. That's how they make their money by and large. The hunting market is kind of cornered by Cabela's. I'm sure they get more volume discounts perhaps from certain distributors, and maybe the margins aren't even as good on those particular firearms. So Cabela's will be unfazed by this, but that's what they want. They want all of the gun distribution in the hands of a few corporations that the government can work closely with and monitor. They want it totally centralized, so they know that who's going to suffer? Small business. You notice how just, whether it's the pandemic or this Canada Post strike that is affecting small businesses who relied on Canada Post and had to go elsewhere now, they know that the people who are going to be affected by all this and the only ones who are going to be able to weather the storm are the big corporations. And so that's a benefit to them. So even if this bill isn't passed, you're going to see a lot of those, are not passed, it's already been passed, but even if it happens that it's repealed or the Conservatives put forth another bill next year, even if that happens, a lot of these small businesses, they might go out of business, right? So in addition to that, gun ranges and just the whole network of infrastructure built around this sport shooting is going to potentially suffer, and it could be catastrophic. And we're talking about a year here, okay, left, in addition to all the damage that's already been done to these groups. So they're trying to kill it. And Canadians need to stop just being so jovially and gleefully watch as the goalpost gets moved. I mean, I was watching a 4.5-hour YouTube podcast, and these are all guys who, they want more firearms rights, but they're just so too circumspect. Like, we need to be more forthcoming. We need to just be speaking our minds about this in a passionate way. And I'm not saying we get all enraged or anything like that. I'm just saying let's stop being so nice about it, and let's start to push back a little bit through the appropriate legal and political channels, okay? And the only way you do that, though, is to not take this with a straight face, not take this with a smile on your face. Now, many people, I think the smile is due to the fact that they think that the government is too incompetent to actually see this through. But, we've seen when the government really wants to do something, they can. But what does this say, too, about the incompetence of our military? That we've resorted to sending guns from gun owners that aren't even military-grade guns to Ukraine. I mean, what does that say about the level of preparedness in NATO countries? That they have to confiscate the property of civilians and expropriate that to Ukrainians who are on the front line. You really think these people have thought through the repercussions of engaging a country with the most nuclear weapons in the world? I don't think so. They're just dumb. Like, that's when it comes. They're just dumb. and they are in their death throes, and they're throwing a tantrum right now. That's all this is. Here's why it's on track to fail. The Liberals have no budget, and they have no idea how to execute these confiscation fantasies. So how are they going to do it? It's going to take billions of dollars. They don't even know where all the guns are because of the long gun registry being scrapped. So there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of guns out there that they don't know where they are, who has them. Crime is so bad right now. Gun crime is up 116% despite banning all these guns over the past few years. They don't have the resources to do this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure, I mean, when you look at, they can muster somehow dozens of cops on a weekend to set up a spot check, even though, people are busting up the inner city. They somehow have the resources to do that. So maybe they will find a way to do it. But I can't see it happening, especially in Saskatchewan and Alberta, where you need this special license, okay? They've repeatedly missed all of their project milestones and have extended their own deadline twice. Now the deadline is October, right around the time of the next election. This perhaps means that this will fail, but I would not get your hopes up. The Conservatives are saying that they're going to create a task force to define which firearms should be prohibited. They're going to propose a simplified classification system. No more OIC name bans, only banning guns on the characteristics of the firearm, but this will require that a new bill is passed, which of course could take several months, if not longer. But the way Pierre Poilievre is catering to hunters, and when asked about which guns are probably unfit for these lists, he refers to certain shotguns and obscure 22s that obviously are nonsensical to have on this list. And I almost wonder if that's all they're going to do. Is that all they're going to do? Is just put back the guns that are really, made for hunting specifically, and not put back the semi-autos? Because the way he's wording this very ambiguously, a lot of people are thinking, oh, they're going to allow everything back, like AR-15. That might happen. Things have happened. The long gun registry got scrapped. I think that one gun that was banned, was it the CZ, or I can't remember which one it was, but it was banned, and then they allowed it back in again. So things can change. And this is important that people realize this. Things can change, okay? There's a lot of legal gun owners, and we do have a voice. And not only do we have a voice, again, we also pay a very good, sizable portion of the taxes. I guarantee you, the wealthy people in Canada, they own guns, okay? And, yeah, they pay a lot of taxes. They have a lot of pull. So these people who are advocating for this, the only reason why they're doing it is because they tend not to get any sort of collective resistance. But if we do, then they will fail at this. But we can't be obedient. We can't allow this to just go unchecked. Yes, we should be stoic, but we should not take this with a smile on our face. Fuck that. Don't say sorry. Don't say sorry. And then they have this other red flag law that's already enforced, but it allows anybody to apply to the court to temporarily remove a firearm from an individual who may pose risk to themselves or others. An awareness campaign will be launched this spring. Yay! Rat out your neighbors. Don't like this person? Phone the cops on them. That's what's going to happen. They have nothing but contempt for anybody who wants to be free. You're not evil because you want to be free. We're not bad people. They gaslight. They want us to feel bad because we want to have the right to defend ourselves, yet that's what the whole Ukraine war bullshit is supposedly all about. So they only want to give you your guns when they're ready to send you off to die in a trench. That's how this goes. And mark my words, this is all by design. The classic phrase, this is all by design. First, they control the media. Then they're going to come and take the guns. Then they're going to send your ass off to war. They're going to give you your guns back. They give you them back. You even get a better gun, probably. You'll get a better gun. You'll get a RPG. You'll get a, a nice armored vehicle to drive. As long as you drive it over there into the line of fire. Okay? That's when they'll give you all your rights back. Now, you can do anything you want on a battlefield, but you over here in the capital, no, you do what we tell you. So that's what it is. Go support the CCFR because that's the best chance we got. I feel a bit better now. I hope you guys do too. I'm sticking my neck out here. Support the channel, CanadianPreparedness.com, or just share the video. Thanks.